She walked in, looking like she had nothing. He was told to throw her out. Instead, a young waitress chose kindness over her own job. By morning, that choice changed every life in the room. The rain had been falling since late afternoon, turning the city streets into rivers of reflected neon. Inside Harbor Lights Grill, the dinner rush was finally slowing down. Plates clattered less often. Conversation softened. The smell of garlic butter and grilled steak still hung warm in the air. Lily Martinez tied her apron tighter and checked the time. 9:40 p.m., 20 minutes until closing. She was 23, working double shifts to cover rent and community college tuition. Her dark hair was pulled into a low bun. Her feet ached. Her smile, however, remained steady. Customers remembered her because she looked them in the eye when she spoke, as if their presence mattered. At table 12, a businessman complained about his steak temperature. At table 6, a couple argued in whispers. Lily moved between them with calm efficiency. Then the door opened. A gust of cold wind slipped inside, carrying rain and silence with it. An elderly woman stepped in slowly, closing the door behind her with careful hands. She looked to be around 70. Her gray coat was thin and soaked. Her shoes were worn. Strands of silver hair clung to her cheeks. For a brief second, every head in the restaurant turned. The host hesitated. Before he could speak, the manager, Carl Whitman, emerged from the office. Carl was in his mid-40s, crisp shirt, sharp tie, sharper temper. He believed appearances defined a restaurant. He glanced at the woman once and frowned. "We're closing," he said flatly. The woman nodded gently. "I understand. I was hoping to sit somewhere warm for a few minutes. I won't be trouble." A couple near the window exchanged looks. Someone whispered, "She's homeless." Lily felt something twist in her chest. She walked toward the door before Carl could say more. "Good evening, ma'am," Lily said softly. "You're welcome to come in out of the rain." Carl shot her a warning look. "Lily," he muttered under his breath, "we're not a shelter." The woman clasped her hands together. "I can order tea. That's all I need." Lily noticed her fingers. They were trembling, not only from cold, but from something deeper. Loneliness, perhaps. "We have fresh soup," Lily offered. "It'll warm you up." "Kitchen's closing in 10 minutes. Lily replied quietly, "I'll handle it." There was a brief standoff in Carl's eyes. Then he sighed. "Fine. 10 minutes." Lily guided the woman to a small table near the window. Not the worst table, not hidden, not by the restroom. A normal table. "What's your name?" Lily asked as she placed a napkin down. "Margaret," the woman replied. Her voice was thin but dignified. "Margaret Hayes." "I'm Lily. I'll bring you something warm." As Lily walked toward the kitchen, Carl followed. "This is a business," he snapped in a low voice. "You start letting one person in, more will come." "She ordered," Lily said calmly. "You think she can pay?" Lily paused. She did not know. But she remembered her mother sitting in a hospital waiting room 2 years earlier. Remembered how strangers had avoided eye contact when medical bills piled up. Remembered how a nurse once paid for her mother's coffee without saying a word. "I'll cover it if I have to," Lily said. Carl stared at her. "You're on thin ice." In the kitchen, the cook rolled his eyes, but ladled fresh vegetable soup into a bowl. Lily added bread, a small side salad, and hot tea. When she returned, Margaret's coat was neatly folded beside her chair. She was staring at the rain outside, as if it carried memories. "This is more than I asked for," Margaret said when Lily placed the food down. "On cold nights, extra warmth helps," Lily replied. Margaret's eyes shimmered. "You remind me of someone. Someone good, I hope." "My daughter," Margaret whispered. They sat in silence for a moment, while Margaret lifted the spoon, carefully. Her hands steadied as the warmth reached her. At table 12, The businessman watched with mild annoyance. At table 6, the arguing couple grew quiet. Kindness has a way of shifting a room. Carl kept glancing at the clock. 9:58 p.m. "Lily," he called sharply, "we're closing. Bring the check." Lily walked to Margaret with a small receipt. She placed it gently on the table. Margaret looked at it for a long time. "I'm afraid," she said slowly, "that tonight I don't have enough." The words were not dramatic. They were honest. Lily felt her heart beat in her throat. "It's all right," she said softly. "Dinner's on me." Margaret's eyes widened. "No, I can't allow that." "You didn't ask," Lily replied. "I'm offering." Carl had been watching. He stormed over. "What's going on?" "She can't pay," Lily said. Carl's jaw tightened. "Then she needs to leave." A silence fell across the restaurant. Forks paused mid-air. Margaret began reaching for her coat. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come." Something inside Lily refused to move. "She's not leaving like this," Lily said. Carl lowered his voice, but not his anger. "You don't get to decide that." Lily untied her apron slowly. "If that's what it costs," she said, "then I decide." The room felt smaller. "You're choosing her over your job?" Carl asked incredulously. "I'm choosing to treat her like a human being." Carl's face reddened. "Turn in your apron." Lily placed it on the counter. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "Please don't do this because of me." Lily sat down across from her. "Sometimes we don't get to choose the moment that defines us, but when it comes, we choose who we are." A man at table 12 stood up quietly and placed money on his table. Without a word, he walked out. The arguing couple left next. They too left extra cash behind. One by one, customers approached the counter. No speeches, no applause, just folded bills placed silently near the register. Carl looked confused. Within minutes the counter was covered. More than enough to cover Margaret's meal. More than enough to cover everyone's. Margaret stared at the scene, overwhelmed. "Why?" she whispered. Lily smiled faintly. "Because someone had to go first." The restaurant finally emptied. Carl retreated to his office without another word. Only Lily and Margaret remained in the quiet dining room. Margaret reached into her purse, an old leather bag, worn but clean. She pulled out a small envelope. "I didn't come here by accident," she said. Lily listened. 35 years ago, my husband and I opened this restaurant, back when this neighborhood was nothing but boarded windows and hope." Lily blinked. Margaret continued, "We built it from scratch. Every table, every tile. My husband believed a restaurant should feed more than hunger. He said it should feed dignity." Lily glanced around the room, seeing it differently now. "After he passed," Margaret said, "I stepped away, sold my shares. I wanted to believe his spirit stayed behind. So once a year, on the anniversary of our opening, I come quietly. I watch." She placed the envelope on the table. "I needed to know if Harbor Lights still remembered what it was built on." Lily's breath caught. Margaret opened the envelope. Inside were official documents, ownership transfers, signatures waiting. "I bought back controlling interest last month," Margaret said gently. "I've been searching for the right person to trust it with." Lily stared at her, stunned. "You risked your job for someone you believed had nothing to offer you," Margaret continued. "That tells me you understand value better than most." The office door creaked open behind them. Carl stepped out, his expression uneasy. "I just got a call," he said slowly, "from the board." Margaret stood. "You won't need to worry about policies anymore, Carl," she said calmly. "Effective immediately, you're relieved of your position." Carl's face drained of color. "You can't just—" "I can," Margaret replied, "and I have." He looked at Lily, then back at Margaret. He said nothing more. He took his coat and left. The rain outside had softened. Margaret turned to Lily. "If you're willing," she said, "I would like you to help me rebuild what this place was meant to be." Lily's voice trembled. "I've never managed anything." "You managed compassion," Margaret said. "The rest can be learned." Tears slipped down Lily's cheeks, not from fear, not from relief, from the weight of what one choice had carried. That night they sat together until the rain stopped. They spoke about Margaret's husband, about Lily's mother, about loss and second chances. By morning, Harbor Lights Grill had a new direction. A small sign appeared near the entrance a week later. "Kindness served first." Under Lily's leadership, subtle changes began. A community board for job postings, a monthly free dinner night sponsored quietly, staff meetings that started with stories, not sales numbers. Word spread, not about discounts, about dignity. Customers returned not only for food, but for feeling. One evening, months later, Lily watched a young server hesitate at the door as a man in worn clothes stepped inside. Lily walked over and said gently, "He's welcome here," because now she understood. Kindness is not loud. It does not demand recognition. It costs something, but it multiplies. And sometimes, on an ordinary rainy night, it stays long enough to change everything.